turns out Pythagoras had more plans for us called the distance formula. And the distance formula happens when, let's say you don't have the leg and the leg, but you would still like to know the hypotenuse. If you put it on a graph so that there's points, you can still find the length of the hypotenuse if you know the points. I'm totally making up these points. If you know the points numbers, you can still find how long the hypotenuse is. Or actually, either leg. So if you know the end points, you can still find the length of a leg or the hypotenuse. You just wouldn't be able to find all of them as easy as the Pythagorean theorem. Here's what I mean. The distance formula is longer, and it looks, to start with, kind of scary. But it will be okay once we practice a couple.
Where's your microphone?
Really far away. We did something similar when we were finding slope. We took one of the points and called it point number 1. And we took one of the points and called it point number 2. So that when it says x from group 2, you take the number and put it in that spot. And when it says x from group 1, you go to group 1 to take the x.
Can't see that very well. X2 minus x1.
X2 minus x1 in parentheses with a square. Y2 with y1 in parentheses with a square.
That's a lot of work.
If you can get the numbers in the right spot, the math is not super difficult. So we just have to go slow and make sure we can get the numbers in the right spot. Are we okay?
No.
So far. So far meaning you wrote down the formula.
I have a question. Is this our last math test of the year, like this one?
There's a quiz, a chapter test, and a final. Don't worry, we'll study.
Final for the grade?
Yes.
All your notes from all tests. Oh my goodness.
Okay, so in your first formula, or your first example, I'm calling A group 1 basin for no other reason besides it's the first one. And I'm calling B group 2 for no other reason besides it's the second one. Also, remember if you're doing points, X is first and Y is second. So some people in first hour did a really good job of labeling their X and their Y.
So it will be 1 minus 6. Or no, it will be 1.
So now, when it says take X from group 2, what is the X in group 2? 1. So X2 hops out, 1 hops in. What's the X from group 1? 6. Subtract, parentheses, squared. Way back to September. 1 minus 6.
We have to square that.
Negative 5 times negative 5. So once you get the numbers in there, the math itself is not super hard. It's just slow and steady. Okay, So step 1, I took care of the x's. Step 2, look at the y's. Y from group 2. Y from group 1. Nine minus 3. 6 to the second. It's okay. There's always someone every problem that does it. Our brain plays tricks on us like that.
Yeah, why is it like only 6? It's never like 5 or 3. It's like always 6 for me.
25 plus 36. Last step. Do you see how I saved that square root till the very end? About 8? So somewhere there was a triangle. If we knew the legs, we could find the hypotenuse really easy. But this one says if you know the 2 points, you can find out the distance using just those 2 points. So we just found the distance right here is close to 8. Am I making sense?
Yeah. Yes.
Next box. Please take the time to name the groups. I promise you it's going to be so much easier. Group 1, group 2, X comes first, Y is second. So when it says take X from group 2, they're talking about, can everyone see that? Bryn said 2. Can you see why she picked 2?
Yes.
Group 2, X. X from group 1, 3. Subtract, parentheses, squared. 2 minus 3, negative 1 times itself. Negative 1 times negative 1, 1. Now I'm on to my y's. Y from group 2. Y from group 1. Subtract, parentheses, squared. 4 minus 8. Negative 4 times itself.
The answer is 17. Square root.
Add 17 square root. So the distance between those 2 points is something close to 4. Anybody wondering something that you're missing?
So this is basically a big order of operations.
True, once you get the numbers in the right spot.
What if it's negative? What if it's positive, minus, and negative?
Oh, good question. Please take the time to label your points. The people who label do better, and I want you all to be those people who are doing better. Sophie, if I said, what's the X from group 2? Nice job. Godiva, the X from group 1. Thank Thank you. Subtract parentheses squared. Drake, 1 minus 10. Zach, negative 9 times itself. Hey, where'd the negative go? Is negative times a negative is a positive.
The next one will be big plus.
Preston, y from group 2.
0.
Bryn, y from group 1.
3.
Getting warmer. Subtract parentheses squared.
Big plus.
Whoa, I haven't had a big plus for a while.
So it's just 3.
Mason, 3 squared.
9.
Layton, add. Maddie, square root of 90.
About 9.
9.
About 10.
No, because 9 is closer to
Oh, yeah,
I agree. That one is almost exactly in the middle. It's one number closer to 9. That's a tricky one. So if I was going to find the actual square root, it'd be like 9.536284729 random is fine.
How do we find the square root if it isn't, like, besides estimated? Like, how do we find the exact?
You come back tomorrow.
Oh, let's do that.
Yes, ma'am. There's one a lot like this on page 582. Mason and Preston, stop for the 1000th time.
Oh, return the entry triangle.
So this one, if I wanted to, I could count the boxes super easy for this side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And I could count the boxes super easy for this side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Because they were right along a line. I could count it. This one, though, is a whole bunch of partial boxes. So it's not as easy to do that strategy. That's where his distance formula comes in. Because if I just know this point and this point, and I don't know the legs, then I can just label my numbers or my groups. Everyone who labels their groups does better. I want all of you to be these people. Mrs. Schlichting might have all of mine. Check in her room. I would have said yes, but check in her room.
Is it right or did I get it wrong? Where's Lee? I see always go to the bathroom. Just get up and front.
It doesn't happen very often because this diagonal line had a whole bunch of parts of boxes. This time they all added up to 10. And we also had what? 8 and 6. So if I said the perimeter all around. How far around?
Just be 8 plus 6 plus 10.
8 plus 6 plus 10. 24. There is a question today on page 582 that says the perimeter. So I counted this one, and I counted this one, and then I just used the formula on the hypotenuse. Is that making sense? If you haven't started the last box, you should try it right now.
Are you okay?
What's the 2 I could watch what we were doing?
She stole my book. No, I had it first. It was mine. You're so rude. Dude, I thought she's falling. Not really.
Hello. And then another 6 snacks, because I'll be hungry by the time I get home.